Hey folks, this is Bailey from Dank Wargaming,
Hey, this is Heath with Team Table War Hawaii.
and welcome to the Path to Redemption, the Warhammer 40,000 Dark Angels podcast, where our aim is to provide Dark Angels players with the tactical and hobby skills that they need in order to enjoy and compete in this wonderful hobby of ours. So this is a special emergency meeting episode here in December 2024, because the balanced data slate in proper fashion for the podcast came out right after I finally figured out how to properly render the video to upload it to YouTube. So we're back again to cover the balanced data slate.
3 or 4 days later, because I was on travel in New York.
Yep.
And it was cold. It was like 19 degrees
Yeah.
When I left the airport yesterday morning. Fahrenheit, 19 Fahrenheit for you people who use a system that makes sense. But anyway, yeah.
It's
so I flew back on. I got back on island yesterday after flying in from the East Coast, and we're here to talk about some stuff. So let's get it.
All right, let's hop into it. So first bit that's interesting is the Company of Heroes detachment got a change to its detachment rule. So now if you're so it has kept the first part where everything can advance and fall back and still shoot the whole army. Anything Adeptus Astartes. Now, if you are Adeptus Astartes mounted units from your army are now eligible to shoot and declare a charge in a turn in which they advanced or fell back. So your bikes can now advance and shoot and charge, having fallen back on top of advancing and shooting. So like they can do the whole thing. Like so if you're mounted, you just get to do all the fun stuff.
I love this.
All right.
I love this.
Oh yeah.
I love this. This is great. Yeah. So that being said, this does obviate Samael's datasheet rule. So what they did was because his datasheet rule is you advance and charge for his units attached. So his datasheet now says if the unit already has the ability to advance and charge, they instead get +1 to advance and charge. That's pretty spicy. I'm a fan.
Well, which is important to note because that's what the Ravenwing Command Squad does with the champion when he's still alive in the squad.
Mm-hmm.
And so for a 5-point difference, if you run this detachment, he basically is, they're all kind of doing the same thing. It's just one has more bodies and a slightly different sword. So I felt like that was a big piece.
One, they gave us a new detachment. 2, they basically gave us another new detachment with Company of Hunters because it's now a completely different thing. 3, all the datasheet rule changes to the base Space Marine Codex and the Dark Angel Codex we're going to change about also change everything. I don't have enough time to playtest all this stuff before January.
Right.
So, anyway, okay, so I'm excited about this. Let me tell let's keep on with the Ravenwing theme and we'll come back to the other things. Let me tell you about the other thing that I am low-key the most excited about. What do you... first of all, what do you think that is?
That's not Ravenwing. Nothing to do with Ravenwing.
No,
or is it related to Ravenwing?
It's still Ravenwing.
Oh, it has to be Outriders then. Come on.
Oh, yeah. It's the Outriders.
The spice.
So the Outriders lose their... on the table, occasionally useful, but in reality, turbo boost rule, which should be baseline for every bike, period, like it was in 8th and 9th edition. And they gain a rule called Thunderous Impact, which means in a fight phase, after a charge phase in which they charged, their melee weapons, or the datasheet's melee weapons, the unit's melee weapons, it's a datasheet ability, so it affects the unit, it's +1 strength and +1 damage.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, baby. And they're chain swords, so they're like already strength. They're already 4 attacks, right? At AP 1. So this is nice. Let me tell you why this is nice. Because when I can advance and shoot and charge them, what this does is it makes chaplains on bike spicy.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to take a unit of 6 Outriders, right, and they've all got twin link bolt rifles. I'm going to put an Invader attached to it, right? So now this thing's got like what is it? Right. Um, so the twin bolt rifles are 2 shots twin linked. So 6 times 2 plus the chaplain's 2. That's going to be 14 bolt rifle or twin bolt rifle shots that are twin linked, right? But you get it within 12 inches with the chaplain, and they have devastating wounds, and it's
Yep.
twin linked. So it's a great source of just one ping. You're going to get 2 or 3 mortal wounds off of every time you shoot this
Yep.
thing. Plus, you put the invader in there with a onslaught cannon. Oh, and the invader also has 2 twin link bolt rifles. So that's 2 more shots. So that's 16. So you're shooting 16 twin link shots, which are going to get mortal wounds.
Yep.
If they roll 6s, whichever we roll for. Fantastic. And you can advance to get there, right? It's great. And then when you do decide to charge, which you will be able to do because you have advanced in charge, now your boys are strength 5 with +1 to wound from the chaplain's litanies of hate.
Mm-hmm.
And they're 2 damage. And that +1 damage, that's a data sheet rule that applies to the unit, which means it also applies to the chaplain.
Mm-hmm.
Who now has a 3 damage Crozius.
So let's roll this with some other things. So let's keep that in mind. Outriders, right? Having this +1 damage, +1 strength. Now think about this. Ravenwing Black Knights, their close combat weapons now have dev wounds as well.
Mm-hmm.
And who has dev wounds that you can put in an Outrider squad? The 2 non-champion units or guys in a command squad, Ravenwing command squad. So now they can go and lead the Outrider squad. So now you have strength 6, neg 2, 2 damage, dev wound, Black Knight combat weapons.
Interesting.
Right?
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
You got to roll 6s with them, but sure, 2 multi-damage devastating wounds is always fun.
Yep. And there's 6 attacks, so we're going to get at least one, right? Now think about this. You can run the new detachment, Blaze of Lion. You can run the enhancement where you put the +1 damage on the champion, and then the champion then leads the Outrider squad. So now you're talking about a damage 4 mastercrafted power sword.
Spicy.
Yeah.
Controversial.
I don't know how useful it is. Just the idea of it is cool.
That weapon will not have dev wounds. Because the dev wounds on the Black Knights is a melee weapon ability. It's not a data sheet thing, so it doesn't proc to attach characters.
Right.
The 2 support guys in the Ravenwing Command Squad have it because they have Black Knight combat weapons, right? So, or Corvus hammers is what we used to call them. But now your Black Knights have anti-vehicle, anti-monster 4-up.
Right.
So now they are as dangerous in melee to vehicles and monsters as they are in shooting, which is good, which is what they should have been. Right? I really elegant way to buff that data sheet. Really elegant way to buff that data sheet. Excited.
I like that a lot.
I like it a lot. Right? And all those things, right? All those data sheet rules are things that you're going to be able to use in detachments, and that changes their utility for a lot of different detachments, not just.
Well, and now think about this. Samael leads the Outriders, and now he has a damage 3 sword at like strength.
Yep.
6 or
strength
7.
6 minus strength 6. Oh, be strength 7 minus 3, sustain 2 damage. Yep. Damage 3 with on the turn you charge. That doesn't suck.
And if you're falling back and whatever, and charging every single turn, you're just always going to have that buff, right?
Bounce, bang, yeah.
For the most part, yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Man. Okay, so real nice. Just to finish off the conversation about the Ravenwing, so there is a note that came out with this, which says that they did change the Master of Maneuver enhancement. Now, just to go ahead and be complete here, I'm going to go find that enhancement, which I'm working through my app right now.
Right.
So
So
Master of Maneuver says you can re-roll advance and charge made for the unit. Okay. Now, from what I understand, it says they did not mean to change Mounted Strategist or change Master Maneuver. They meant to change Mounted Strategist.
right.
Because that is the one that basically says it's eligible to declare a charge in a turn in which it advanced or fell back. What did Master Maneuver used to do in the book? Do you remember?
Let me pull it up here real quick.
Because I got to get up to grab my book. So
Yeah, no worries. I got it right here. Master of Maneuver. Oh, that's the one that lets you come in from reserves early.
okay.
So that, yeah, they didn't mean to change that at all. That's supposed to say, yeah, it's the mounted strategist because that used to give you the fallback and charge, advance and
Okay.
charge, but
So
now it's
that's
just a core strat.
yeah,
Or a core ability of the detachment.
core ability detachment. So yeah, so no reason to change that. That will be back when they release this on the apps in January.
Just in time for Hawaii, because I don't want to carry my book over there.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So yeah, so I'm a big fan of all the Ravenwing changes. Looking at um, the detachment, the data sheets, and things. And the key to this too is none of the points values changed on anything, which is
For
good and
these
bad, right?
things. For
Yeah,
these things.
yeah,
There are other point changes, yeah, but all this is just here. It's better. Do better. Which I
yeah.
love. So I think look, Outriders legit are now going to be a thing that you see. Because don't forget, so Outriders are they're durable, they're 4 wounds each. They've got the grenade keyword, their battle line in the Company of Hunters detachment, and they can still charge through walls in the Lion's Blade detachment.
Yep.
Or run through walls in the Lion's Blade detachment. So all that is fantastic. Anyway, so I'm stoked on Ravenwing. I still don't know how to play them. I'm gonna try and get a couple more games in. So we'll see. But okay.
All right.
Anyway, yeah. So
Something.
do go check out Gerard over on 40K Angels Keep. He did a really
Yeah.
nice just summary of all this, which put out a lot of good points. I can't wait to see if we get any term results from this. But yeah.
Oh yeah. All right. So some baseline changes, points changes, and then some baseline datasheet changes that are kind of quick and easy to run through that make sense. So, like, first one is the Lion. His sweep attack is back up to 2 damage, which meant that he had a points increase, so he's up to 315. So he's back over 300 points. But now, when he sweeps with sustained hits 1, he's doing 2 damage every time. So
With 16 attacks and sustained 1.
yeah,
So that at least feels like he should be cutting Marines in half with every hit. So that's good. I'm happier about this. Still wish he had the -1 to wound, but whatever.
yeah, or something, or like half damage, or any something
I'd take half
defensive.
damage. That'd be cool. Yeah. Some other like 3+ invulnerable is good. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah, and hard to get.
You need something else. Yeah.
So another one that's pretty fast is Captain and Gravis armor. His mastercrafted bolt rifle has gone to 3 damage. The heavy intercessor squad, their regular heavy bolt rifle has gone to 2 damage, and then the heavy bolter has gone to ballistic skill 3.
Okay. So I do think that the heavy bolt rifle going to 2 damage. Now that did come with a point hike. They're I think 115 for 3 of them now. If I'm correct. Yeah, sorry, 110 for 5, 220 for 10.
Yep.
That's 10 points. Look, man, 2 damage rep, 2 damage range shooting. It's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Well, and they're Gravis bodies too, so they're not easy to
Gravis, and they've got that -1 damage, the -1/8, or the built-in armor contempt rule. So
yep.
I still think that it might be fun to try just a Horus Heresy style. Here's a company of Space Marines, no armor, no bikes, just a lot of bolters. Let's see how that does.
Well, and
Anyway,
that matters too because Armor of Contempt got changed to where now it doesn't last the entire phase; it just lasts that one attack. So to have something that just has Armor of
yeah,
Contempt the entire time is a big deal
yeah,
because you just can't Armor of Contempt anything forever anymore.
yeah. I don't know if that was necessary. I don't know. I don't think Armor Contempt was that powerful. It definitely is an important nerf. It makes it. It definitely hurts Terminators more than anything else because the combination of 2-up armor with Armor Contempt and possibly cover was legit real good. Now that being said, it does bring back. Remember everyone has access to go to ground. Go to ground gives you cover,
Right.
which is effectively Armor of Contempt against a lot of attacks. So keep that in your back pocket. If you do need to just run out and survive a whole bunch of shooting in the open with Terminators, which all know Dark Elder players, that's a thing that we have to do. Go to ground might be your go-to now.
No, that's fair. That's definitely fair. In the Infernus squad, they got an extra AP on their Pyre Blaster, so that's not too bad.
Fan of that,
And
yeah.
I think that's all we
They
got
no the
on
Infernus squad
that.
also got a um,
A
incendiary
points
terror
increase.
ability, right? Or they're like you take a battle shock test when you're hit with a pyro blaster. Now you take it at -1.
Oh yeah, that helps a lot.
Yeah, okay, right, okay. A couple other things. So Inceptors got nerfed. Anything which had a
Yep,
3-inch deep strike, it's now been nerfed to 6. Right?
that
Eh.
hurts, but
Yeah.
they did get a points decrease. They did go down to 120, so
They're still
Gerard
not
and
down.
Alan can't be like they're still not 110.
They're still at 110. 110 might be I don't know. 6 is good. It's just really easy to screen them off objectives now.
Yep.
So okay. Uh let's talk about intercessors. So
This
intercessors
has a lot of
now,
interesting play, I think.
if you shoot all their guns at the same target, they get +2 to the attacks characteristic. So basically, your baseline bolt rifle intercessor gets 4 shots per. So 5 dudes get 20 shots.
Yep.
That's crazy. So it's, again, big squads of 10 intercessors will just lay down fire. And I'm intrigued by that, to be completely honest.
Well, and think about this too. They have the assault and heavy keyword, right? So if they stand
Mm-hmm.
still, they get +1 to hit. And then with the assault keyword, so I put them in this Stormlance list I wrote because that was it blitzing or is it blistering fusillade?
Yeah, blistering fusillade. Yeah.
If you that gives you assault on your weapons, and that's for anything, not just bikes or whatever, or vehicles. It's anything, and if you already have the assault keyword, then you get sustained hits 1. So you can
Okay.
just like for one command point give this intercessor squad that already has a bunch of shots Azrael basically, without having to put Azrael in there,
Yeah.
and they can just a 5-man squad. Then right now you do sit here and do all the math, but now you're adding even more shots, basically another dude worth of shots. And if you're going up to 40 shots, right, for every 6 die you roll, right, you're looking for an extra hit there.
I
And so like you're just talking about a massive amount of DACA, and then if it's an oath target, it's even better, right? And then if you
mm-hmm.
have uh, a hail strike on the board and it pings something, now you've got an extra AP on top of all those shots.
Now remember, hail strike only affects non-vehicles and monsters. But
Right.
listen, I look. You're basically doubling the shooting output of the squad, and they
Yep.
have not changed in points. They're still 80 points.
Nope.
That's good. That being said, let's talk about increasing the shooting output of the squad. Let's talk about Stern Guard, because Stern
Yeah.
Guard now, when you attack the Oath of Moment target, you reroll the whole wound roll, not just once, and that makes devastating wound anti-infantry devastating wound weapons
Yep.
very, very concerning. Very concerning. And
Get them before they
um,
go out of stock, boys and girls.
I also think that this really, really, really increases the value of attaching Azrael to Stern Guard,
Yeah.
because that is also going to affect the Lion's Roar, right? So Nice. Anyway, yeah, so big, broad, sweeping data sheet buffs for the Space Marines. Repulsor Executioners now can take 7 models, so you can put your 6-man Inner Circle Companion Squad plus the character in there. Predator Annihilators got a little buff. Reaver Squad's got a little buff. Nothing even plays Annihilator pattern Predators or Reavers. Everyone plays Destructor pattern Predators because that's where you need to be at. All the combat blades across the army or across the codex, combat knives on Phobos captains, Reaver lieutenants, Reaver squads, and scouts, as well as paired combat blades, which are incursors, Phobos lieutenants, and combat lieutenants, are all AP1 now instead of AP nil. So that's a
That's
nice
why
little
scouts went up.
nice little bit. Yeah, so scouts went from 65 to 70 points. Anyway, so all of that being said, right? And
Well,
then
now
another thing, the Gladius Task
that
Force got nerfed. uh,
yeah,
fire discipline. You lose the crit on 5s.
oof, that's
So
rough.
that's a big. You still have sustained hits, but you lose the crit on 5s. Instead, you get to reroll advances in the Devastator Doctrine. Is this still worth 40 points?
It depends on what's that squad that's getting that buff is, right? Because if you have the Melta Rifles have Assault, right, and Eradicators, and then Hellblasters have Assault. So they're at least getting the benefit off of that. But
Well,
when you're putting
Devastator
them...
in the Devastator Doctrine, you get assault anyway. You effectively get assault.
Yeah.
So,
Ah.
being able to reroll advances, I don't know, man. I would like to see it come back down to like 30 or 25 just to get sustained hits. Like that's really
Yep.
pricey. So anyway,
Well,
I
the thing I want to point out with the Reavers, their new ability where it's changed with the Terror Troops, it says if they're within, if the enemy excluding monsters and vehicles, if they're within 3 inches of one or more units with this ability, you subtract 1 from the objective control of the models in the enemy unit. So here's a way to
oh,
debuff.
I completely missed that. That's
Uh,
really good.
yeah, so now Reavers, I'm glad I got mine primed. I haven't built, they're built and they're primed. They've just been sitting in a box. But yeah, now you can use them to knock down some of these like crazy combos with, think about the Lion's Blade, right? Where you have an ancient and then you have the captain with the +1 OC ability, and you're like, look at
Yeah,
my Terminators with all this OC, and
my
then the
my
Reavers show
OC3
up and they're like, we don't
Deathwing
care.
Knights, yeah, or my
Yep.
OC3, Tyranid warriors that are sticky in objectives. So
Yep.
okay,
Very important
now
that.
to the downside. So we said heavy intercessors went up. We said
Yep.
Infernus Marines went up. The Reavers also went up. Scouts went up, and Stern Guard went up. Right.
Yep.
So Scouts are 70 points for 5. Stern Guard are 100 points for 10, which doesn't seem unreasonable to me at all.
No.
I'm for 100 points. I'm down for 5 Stern Guard. I'm down to get down with 5 Stern Guard. So yeah, and Lion up 30 points for damage to sweep attack. All right, cool. I would say I think that I've got a test list I'll talk about here in a second, which has a bunch of Ravenwing Black Knights in it, and then also has the Lion in there to make it safer for them to overcharge their plasma talents.
Oh yeah.
Even though he has 0 interaction with the Ravenwing detachments stuff, but yeah, man, I need to go take a look at Sternguard again. Good lord, I need to figure out a way to get some Sternguard in this list because that's nuts. Anyway, okay, so that is like the P's and Q's, right? The baseline of what has changed. What does that mean? Well, big incentive to not take Gladius. Is it a big enough incentive? I don't think so. I still think Gladius is probably the most flexible of all the detachments. It loses the big shooting punch that it had. Company of Hunters is a lot better. It's a lot better. Where do you think between Company of Hunters and Lion's Blade? Where do you think those two detachments are?
I think it comes down to part of it's going to come down to the miniature collection, because like that's one of the reasons why
Okay.
I like looking into Hawaii. Like there's things in Lion's Blade that I would want to have that I just don't have. Like I'd like more. more invaders like as single pieces, as trade pieces, and things like that. Company of Hunters, I think, works out better with like the bigger squads of Black Knights, and like if you're focusing is like I want my big offensive pieces to be bikes like Outriders too. I feel like Company of Heroes helps them more because you're using them as trade pieces in the other detachment to try and get your Deathwing units into combat, as opposed to making them a centerpiece of the army.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
feel
I
like
agree
that's
with
where the
that.
big focus is going to be, the change on that. But I think you're going to see, like I said, the bigger squads of Outriders. Instead of seeing 3-mans, you might start seeing some 6-mans. And whereas with Lion's Blade, you're going to keep them as minimum because you're just trying to flood the board with them. You're
Yeah,
not wanting to
they're the
overcommit
support
something.
that sets up the Deathwing, not necessarily
Exactly.
the push itself. The I still haven't come to like I think that the Lion's Blade's detachment rule is not as powerful as Company of Hunters. I don't think it is. Getting +2 to charge if I do a thing,
Right.
okay, but that's not advance and shoot, advance and charge, fall back and shoot, fall
No.
back and charge.
No.
It's not. It's or doctrines. It is not that. Or the vowed +1 to wound thing. That being said, I think the enhancements and the stratagems in Lion's Blade are more powerful because Company of Hunters
Yeah.
it's very limited to Ravenwing, and still don't know exactly how. Like the Ravenwing, I still think are a bit of a glass hammer, because yeah, they're going to kill something a lot more effectively now. But then you're sitting there because they don't have any movement shenanigans, right? They don't have any way to like kill something and then out of sequence or out of phase, fall back or get back behind cover or something along.
Yeah.
That's what I really think that attachment needs is something to move, shoot, move, or fall back or move at the end of the fight phase to get out of line of sight. That's what I think the
All they
detachment
have
really
is
needs. But
they have that pick up your Ravenwing unit at the end of your opponent's fight phase. That's all they
opponent's fight
got.
phase, which means I have to survive a turn of shooting, which I probably won't. So
Yeah.
yeah, the
Because you just have the -1 to hit strat, not -1 to hit, -1 to wound.
yeah. If it was the -1, if it was the equivalent of ride fast, ride hard, we'd be talking. It'd be a little better, but especially with the buff with the nerf correction, the nerf to armor contempt.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, that being said, like I still think there's some neat stuff there, and I really want to try it. So I'm gonna can I let you in on this this list I've got rattling around in my head today?
Go for
I'm
it.
gonna take that as a yes. Okay, so
Go
this is a
for it.
Company of Hunters list, and I am going to export this and send it to you right now. We're doing this live, folks. Boom, boom. There you go. Okay, so this is going to have. It's going to start with the Lionel Johnson. As I said, I think that he slaps. He really does, and you need a big, solid, durable melee threat. Right, that has a 2-up save. That's not the bikes because the bikes are not that thing, right?
Correct.
That being said, so I've also got Azrael because you need CP to run this list. The other thing I've got is a Chaplain on bike with Recon Hunter, which is the one that lets me get Scout 9. Then I've got a Command Squad with Master Maneuver, which will go back to possibly the dip in early stratagem or the dip in early enhancement, and Samael. So that's a lot of points and characters, right? But then I've got Intercessors, which I might swap out for Sternguard now that I know about that. And then I've got a full-size unit of Outriders. Right, so that's 6 Outriders and an Invader with an Onslaught Cannon. The Chaplain attaches to the squad and just goes and hopefully drops 5 or 6 mortal wounds on something, charges and punches it. And it's going to be great because they're going to be Strength 5 with +1 to wound and 2 damage weapons at -1 AP. And hopefully that's going to do some work. So, all right. So then I have 2 full squads of Black Knights, 2 squads of Scouts, a Storm Speeder Hail Strike, a Vindicator, and a Predator Destructor.
Nice.
So that comes out to 1995. Now, obviously, I would need to free up like 15 points to drop to upgrade the Stern Guard, and I would probably do that by dropping the Recon Hunter, or sorry, not Recon Hunter, the Master Maneuver. I need to dilly around with this a little bit. This is just kind of an initial look. Now, normally I would look at this and go, "There's nowhere near enough shooting in this, right? I don't have range shooting." Well, you have a Vindicator, right? And Vindicators being able to advance and shoot is concerning to a lot of people because that gun is big and it makes big booms, and you can't lock it in combat. It's just going to either shoot you anyway or fall back, right? The Destructor is kind of the same idea, right? It can move a lot. It can advance, turn a corner, and then put all that shooting down range. Now the anti-vehicle stuff, that's the Black Knights now. They're doing mortal wounds to vehicles and monsters, and they're single damage mortal wounds. So all your damage reduction stuff they don't care about. So they're going to run in that with 18 attacks, right? And they're going to hit, if it's my oath target, they're going to hit probably 16, 17 times, right? Yep. And they're going to do 10 mortal wounds.
Yeah.
And they're individual mortal wounds that like they will force, like, I think on paper they're pretty close to killing a Nightbringer, like killing a Catan in 1 round of combat.
That's pretty good.
Which is like good. That. Now, obviously, the Catan's got to feel no pain, right? But you do have shooting that you can throw in on the way in there. So, and look, that's good. That's real good. So, and it's got a lot of speed. It's got the Hail Strike, which you can pull off the board and drop around. It's got those battle line Outriders, which can come off the board and go back into strategic reserves. Yeah, there's some tricks. There's some stuff here, right? I do want, like, given my druthers, I would find a way to put a unit of Deathwing Knights in here because I want something to be the lone op guardian for the Lion,
right?
But I'm gonna have to drop the Vindicator plus like a scout squad or something, and I don't know if that's worth it. Anyway, so right. This is just my initial mad ravings on the couch. But and I don't even know if this would work best in Company of Hunters because the ability to charge through walls is also really enticing. So yeah, what do you think? Go ahead.
I was gonna say, the thing about this. So I did it. Mine was Stormlance, right? And so I'm running. I'm gonna also have to.
Pardon me. Sorry, I'm still a little sick.
Actually, I think I did this to the other day, but I'm gonna send it to you again. So
yeah, you sent me a couple.
Yeah, I've been mad ladding, but this is like since I saw this, and so this is where I'm thinking of.
If you're planning on coming to the Hawaii War on the Shore, and you're going to play Bailey, don't look at this. You can just skip this part of the podcast.
This is the secret madness. So Azrael, Command Squad with Fury of the Storm.
What's Fury of the Storm do again?
So it's 25 points. Has to be a Star-Taste mounted character. When it gives him +1 strength, +1 AP to the melee weapons of that model, and then it doubles it when it go to 2 and 2 when you charge. So now if you put that mastercrafted power sword in with the Outriders, and now he charges with the Outriders, so now he's going up to +3 strength. So now we're talking about a strength 8 sword at -3. A lot.
4. -4.
Yeah, for 3 damage. There's not a lot of things that want to interact with that. Now, granted, he doesn't have the ability to mess with monsters and vehicles very well because he's only strength 8. But if there's like another, you run into Deathwing Knights, right? Does the Deathwing Knight squad want to run into that guy? No, not at all.
Just
if he's like, you have damage reduction? Nah, thanks.
If you run into Knights or Ironstorm or something like that, you just attach that squad to the Black Knights, which are coming up.
Yep.
And then they'll have mortal wounds. That's all devastating wounds. Yeah.
Yeah, and now he has this massive AP. Now he's 1 less damage, but
Well, it's not
He still
devastating. It's
has
just going to
massive.
auto wound. Yeah,
Yeah,
but it's still AP
but
3,
yes,
or no, it'd still be this. It'd still be the AP. Still be the AP. It just wouldn't be the 3 damage. It'd still be 2 damage.
yeah. But
And
I felt like
AP
that was sort
4
of
is basically a mortal wound into most vehicles. So okay, all right.
yeah. I threw the Assault Intercessor Squad in there basically to guard Azrael, so you get all the spicy rerolls in close combat for Azrael on objectives. Then the Intercessor Squad, which this is where I mentioned earlier with the blistering fusillade, is like you don't really need to put Azrael with the Intercessors in this detachment because you could just 1 CP and they have sustained hits, 1 to
Mm-hmm.
go
Yeah.
as it is. I threw in Assault Intercessors with jump packs, mostly because now that Stormlance, now they have advanced in charge, right? And I just finished painting some, so I want to take them and play with them. Same thing with Bastilus. 3 Deathwing Knight squads, which I'm finishing up the 3rd one right now over here on the desk next to me. Infiltrators, just because I like them. So this is where I feel like the interesting bit is. I have 2 min squads of bikes, so I have 1 Outrider squad because that's just what I have, and then I have a min squad of Ravenwing Black Knights. And so this is where I think I've finally run into this space that we've been talking about that I've wanted for a while of matchup dependent character attaching.
Mm-hmm.
So where kind of looking at it of like, okay, what do I need? What buffs do I need on the Ravenwing champion in this matchup? That's where he goes with the rest of his boys. And then again, with the way Outriders work, they buff the 2 guys accompanying him. So, like, do I
Yep.
need these 2 damage Dev Wound Black Knight weapons, or do I need, yeah, or do I
You're right.
need
They
to
do.
give
Oh crap. Okay.
right? So, like, do I need their buff on the 2 extra guys in that squad, or do
Yeah.
I need to put them all in with the Black Knights because I need to put the plus up, the 4 up against monsters and vehicles on the champion with his, and now granted it's only 2 damage sword, but at that point, do I really worry too much about that when I'm going into, the matchups? Is it more important to have the dev wound ability than to have the other thing, right? So
I think that this is one of the real benefits of the Raven Command Squad is that it's a 3 model 12 wound character that can like regenerate pieces of itself because only the
yep,
command only the champion is the character. The other 2 jabronis are just like bodyguards, right? um and so you can have these 2 other, so like a squad that you pick just for the rule that they give to the character is cool, but they're usually really like flimsy, but the command squad's not. So that's an interesting thought. I really like the 2 damage Black Knights or Black Knight weapons on the lieutenant or the apothecary and the ancient. That's cool. All right,
and then
what
don't
else?
forget the ancient also gives you +1 OC
OC.
to both
Yeah,
those. So now all those guys are OC3,
yeah.
regardless of because they're both OC2 units, right? So
And
you
you can
have all
always
that
and
funness.
shenaniganing by bringing back a model with the apothecary to then extend your footprint to put 3 OC onto an objective is always fun.
Yep. Then got the obligatory scout squad, right? Because we did that um,
Mm-hmm.
meta analysis of like here's like the things that are in everything. So that's kind of where this was. The thing I don't have are the inner circle companions. And then I have a hail strike to kind of help out the intercessors and be just a deep striking, fast Raven Wing piece. And then a thunder strike for a little more range, but again, deep striking speed to kind of help the ballistus.
Ballistics, yeah.
Um, yeah, ballistus help it shoot things from range because
Yeah.
I feel like that's where like the thunder strikes and things kind of fall apart sometimes, or the storm speeders, is that people forget they have deep strike.
Can
And
I
like,
can I tell you a low key thing I really like about having storm speeders in
go
this
for it.
detachment? They advance in charge.
Yeah.
Which mean and you're like, what? I don't care. I don't want to charge with my thunderstrike. That means you can tank shock with them, and
Yeah.
they're like toughness 9 or 10. That's a lot of dice you're gonna roll, and you need like you're gonna pull 3 or 4 mortal wounds on the charge off this thing probably.
Sometimes that's all you need.
Sometimes that's all you need, right? You just need to strip the last couple wounds off a knight or off something, just doink, bop it in the head.
Kamikaze dive that thing in there. And then again, with
Mm-hmm.
Company of Hunters, they're still good too, because like the big bonus on the Thunderstrike specifically, right, is it's ballistic skill 2. So if you advance him, right, you're still getting to keep that.
Yeah.
I can't remember if he has advance or assault on those weapons to begin with,
No,
but
he doesn't.
no. Okay, so I'm thinking about old rules where you could give him advance and shoot, but then you still had to take the penalty for advancing. So I'm thinking about
Well,
9th
there's no
edition.
penalty for advancing and shoot it, or with assault for
Right.
advancing in 10th edition. So
Yeah, I'm
okay.
thinking about the old 9th edition goofiness where I'd run around and advance them in the detachment and annoy people. So
Look, I
that's on
think
me. But yeah, so
three squads of Deathwing Knights advancing and charging is concerning to a lot of people.
yeah,
I like, and the thing I like about this list is you are going to have to focus on the 3 squads of Deathwing Knights that are coming for your face, and probably not deal with the other things. So I like it. Yeah. Okay.
yeah, that was my initial mad ravings. I feel like you get the most because again, too, when we've been talking about the Blaze of the Lion, we've been we're always talking about, oh, we got to find a way to get this Terminator captain in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we have that reroll charges with the +2, and it's like, well, if you just have advance and charge, you don't really have to have those additional movement gimmicks because it's like you just advance them and then you charge them, and then they have all the movement they need.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're not deep striking them, but you don't have that issue. So that's what you might end up seeing if you come to Hawaii and you end up having to play me, which, knowing my luck, I'm probably just gonna end up playing Heath round 1. I hope you know this, Heath. Like it's already
It's
gonna
like it's
happen.
like an 8-game event. It'll be fine. So, okay. One last thing I do want to mention. They did drop another detachment that we can use.
That's
Do you have
true.
any to talk about the Librarius Conclave?
That is true. We can talk about that real quick.
I
Let me pull it
so
up. I totally
once
forgot
again,
about
not
that.
going to have the time to actually like test this at all, but you can get Terminator Librarians, and you can attach them to Deathwing Knights, and that doesn't suck. Just for an entering argument. You also have a really good named Psyker. So,
Yeah.
just saying, right? So the detachment rule here, psychic disciplines. You can basically at the start of the battle round select one of the following disciplines. It's not a once per game thing like a doctrine. You apply that effect until the end of the battle round for all Astartes Psyker units from your army, right? So the character and the unit they're attached to. Biomancy, add 2 to the move characteristic of models. That's good for Terminators.
Yeah.
Divination, re-roll a hit roll of 1 and a wound roll of 1 for units that make an attack, not a melee attack, an attack.
Okay, I like
That
that.
sounds like it'd be good for Deathwing Knights, who are hit on 2s and wound a lot of things on 2s and 3s. Right? That'd also be really good for Hellblasters.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Pyromancy, when you're within 12 inches, improve the armor penetration of the attack by 1 for ranged attacks. Telekinesis, each time a ranged attack targets this unit, subtract 1 from the strength characteristic. Right?
Yeah,
That's
that's also good.
debuffing strength against things that are shooting at you. That sounds great. Telepathy, right? You can each time a model unit makes an attack, you can ignore any roll modifiers to that attack rolls, to attack's weapon skill or ballistic skill or hit rolls. You ignore modifiers for attacking with on the hit roll.
That's pretty good.
Okay, those are all great buffs that I want. Now, the downside of this is you're going to have to spend a lot of points on characters, and the stratagems are fantastic, so you're going to have Azrael as well. Now, Ezekiel plus another librarian plus a Terminator librarian or 2, that's Azrael. Okay, but I'm telling you guys, there's something here. Some of these enhancements, right? Prescience, 25 points. No, you can't put on Terminators, but it gives you a reactive move.
It's
Right?
pretty good.
Celerity, a Psyker model only. This bear's unit is eligible to advance and charge. If the biomancy discipline is active, you can fall back and charge.
Also useful.
There's your advancing and charging Terminators. Come on.
Yeah.
Obfuscation. You cannot fire Overwatch at the bearer's unit.
That is awesome.
If the telepathy discipline is active, the bearer's unit cannot be targeted by ranged attacks unless they're within 18 inches.
Also awesome.
Fusillade. Psyker model only. Ranged weapons equipped by models in the bearer's unit have the anti-monster and anti-vehicle 5+ abilities. And if pyromancy is active, sustained hits 1. If telekinesis is active, add 6 inches to the range of your weapons. This does not suck. This should not be overlooked. No. For one, I'm telling you guys, just get 3 Terminator Librarians, put them in 3 Terminator Assault, or in 3 Deathwing Knight squads, 7 inches movement. One of them's going to advance and charge. The next turn, they're all going to reroll hit 1s to hit and wound. That's amazing.
Yeah. Well, and then think about that fusillade on a librarian that's in your squad with your Hellblasters. So now it's just Azrael, because you're going to have sustained hits 1 with pyromancy.
Yeah.
With the 4-up invuln from the librarian, and then he's like, oh, and by the way, all this stuff is now anti-monster, anti-vehicle 5-up. So the one thing that stops Hellblasters from just completely dominating the game like they did in 8th and 9th is just gone, because it's like, oh, well now all these damage shots are now potentially going to prop.
Hellblasters would always be wounding monsters and vehicles on 5s anyway, just based on their strength.
Yeah.
So it's probably more for like intercessors, which are wounding on 4s. Or sorry, which are strength 4, right? But once again, doesn't suck. Some of these some of these other these enhancements, or these stratagems, right? Sensory assault, right? So you pin a unit, so you just pick a target within 18 inches. They don't get to interact with this rule. You just say you are -2 to advance and -2 to charge. Sorry, -2 to move, -2 to charge. And if the telepathy discipline is active, they have to take a battle shock test at -1.
That's
sorry about your Terminators, bro. Stay over there, right?
Well, and I mean, think about how devastating Thunderfire cannons were for an addition with this rule. Like insane. Like this is really
-2 to charge is crazy, man. That's so good, right?
That means you can actually fail a charge. Like if you move your model right next to an enemy model, right? Like you get within the 2-inch range, you could roll double ones.
You could theoretically double
still
one.
Not, and not
even if you rolled a 3, it would come down to a 1. Well, no, I guess that would work. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
So
right, but but technically you would fail the ability to charge, which is insane. Which normally you would have to be standing, like, used to be you had to stand in a crater to have that interaction, which I had happen once, which was really funny. But yeah, like the idea that, no, you will actually just fail this charge. I don't care, because you have to be more than an inch away from me. And if you roll double ones, that's 0. You're not coming in. And that's just, people aren't ready for that.
Yeah. All right, so other stratagem. Fiery Shield. Fight phase after an enemy selects the target. Once again, pick a unit, you target an infantry or mounted unit that is within 18 inches of a friendly Psyker. And it was selected as a target for the attack. So it doesn't have to be the Psyker unit. Right? Until the end of the phase, that unit is -1 to hit. And if the Pyromancy discipline is active, weapons that target your unit have hazardous.
Amazing. That is amazing. What a great thing. What an undervalued ability thing to do. That is just awesome. What a great debuff.
It's it's like, have you seen the new Amazon secret role Warhammer thing?
No, not yet.
No? Okay, I won't spoil it. There's a thing about kind of like this in there. You should go watch it.
Oh,
anyway,
nice.
It's dope. It's dope as hell. I watched it 2 hours ago. Okay.
Oh, nice.
So, all right, Iron Arm. In the fight phase, you pick an infantry unit within 18 inches of a Psyker. That has not yet been selected to fight. Until the end of the phase, add 1 to strength characteristics of melee weapons in the by models in that unit, or 2 if Biomancy is active.
Yeah, that's useful.
For the whole unit. You want your Strength 8 Deathwing Knights back? Here you go.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty useful.
Assail. When in your shooting phase, an enemy unit within 18 inches is visible to one or more Psyker models, excluding lone operatives. Roll 66, adding 1 to the result if telekinesis is active. For each 4 up, that enemy unit suffers a mortal wound. It's smite.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a smite.
Give him the old smitey smite.
This one, let's see. So, Prescient Precision. Your shooting phase, a Psyker unit from your army that has not yet been selected to shoot. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, that attack has lethal hits and ignore cover as well if Divination is active for your army. So you can give lethal hits out.
That's pretty useful. Without a lieutenant.
Yeah, there's a lot I think to get into here, and I don't think that it should be overlooked. So, man,
I think the thing to think about too is like there are things that are clearly not going to interact well with this, right? So like your bike units, like there's no bike wizards, right? So you can't.
Yeah,
Librarian bikes are gone.
That being said, they won't be able to benefit from the detachment rule, but they'll be able to benefit from the stratagems because you can set them up to be within 18 inches of a Psyker, right? So let's not be, there's something there.
Right. Well, and then like I'm just thinking in terms of like just like max ability, right? Like Eradicators, like there's not a Gravis armor librarian, right? So you're looking at like
correct
to get the most out of it. You're looking at Terminators and just regular Tacticus armor,
which is what we
fine.
do anyway, right? Yeah, the bikes may be a little, but like look, Hellblaster spam, sign me up. Terminator spam, sign me up. You got something going on in your head right now. Talk to me.
Oh, I was checking to make sure all these things weren't infantry or mounted locked, and they are, because I was like, well, can you cast all these things on the Lion? And the answer is no. Because it has to be infantry or infantry mounted to do the good stuff.
Okay.
I was like, because imagine like being like, oh, you want to fight the Lion? Okay, well, the Pyromancy's up, so now he's -1 to hit, and you have Hazardous. Have fun trying to kill him now. That's what you get. But that's not going to happen. Dang it, that would have been so cool. Oh, it would have been so cool. Next data slate, we'll get lucky.
Yeah, and Iron Arm is tied to infantry, so yeah, it wouldn't work. But I'm telling you, Deathwing Knights, it'll work. So, like I said, I don't know. I haven't written a list out with it because I'm trying to focus on what we're doing for War on the Shore, and I don't have that many librarians. If I have 1 Terminator librarian. If I had more, I would try. I don't know. Maybe I should. I got too much stuff to do and not enough time to play test.
Yeah.
Whatever. That makes me mad.
Well, you get your strength 10 Thunderhammer jump pack dude back.
Bonk.
Actually, it'll be strength 11 because he gives himself +1 strength when he charges.
Bonk.
And then this gives him +2.
Bonk.
Let's go. Smash Captains are back.
Let's freaking go. Yeah. No, for real. Like Hellblaster spam, Deathwing Knights do seem like they would really benefit from this. I know I've said that 3 times. Yeah. Remember, Terminator Librarians give sustained hits. And that's already really good. That's already really good. So, yeah, just being able to use like Divination on Terminators and Hellblasters is amazing. It's really tasty. So,
yeah, I like it. Yeah, it's just like you said, it's expensive. And the thing, like where I was working on my list, the thing I noticed about your list is that you have 4 characters, and I've intentionally put 2 in mine and like stopped because when we were looking through all those lists on the last episode, I noticed that was a theme across all the lists, is that there weren't that many characters. And when I look at my list, I always have a bunch. And so I was like, okay, how can I get the most out of these characters without having to run too many of them. So like going forward, I'm writing lists with like a max of 3 characters, even though I really, 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 really want to put more in. I'm
Yeah,
not going
you're
to.
completely right. That's
And so that's where I would think about that with this is like you're going to basically run Azrael and like 2 librarians. So what are those librarians and where are they going?
yeah.
Because I think you could put a
Azrael,
librarian in with
Ezekiel,
the.
and 2 librarians. Sorry. I'm.
Well, I was gonna
It's
say like don't forget we forgot about the fact that you can put a librarian right in with the inner circle companions, right?
that's where I was going to put Ezekiel for his +1 attacks.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That would also help
Yeah.
a lot too.
I mean, giving
And now
them
they
a
have
regular
reroll on some
librarian to
of
get the
those.
4-up invul would be helpful, but I don't know. It seems thematic to have Ezekiel leading inner circle companions, but
Yeah.
and then making them. I don't know. You'd have to play test that to see which one needs a 4-up invul more, the Hellblasters or the companions.
Yeah. Yeah. I could see that. Oh, it's so dirty. Well, it's the idea too that we could just add some of these other things to it, right? Because like imagine like adding the survivability on inner circle companions of obstification where like you can't target them with an overwatch if they move out in the open to charge something, or if they're out in the open somewhere and they have like a bunch of basilisks or wyverns or whatever. You're playing a guard player and he's like, oh, where are the inner circle companions? Oh, they're not in a tank. All right, I'm going to target them with all my
Yeah.
indirect. And then you're like, no, you're not. And they're like, but my indirect. And you're like, no, we're not playing this game.
No.
So that's useful. Man, that. Uh, yeah, Ezekiel is good, but yeah, I think just a regular guy would also be good with some of these other things.
Anyway,
And
think
and then
about
you
it.
could make them strength.
Just
You could make them strength 9. Because they're already strength 7, right? And now they go to strength 9 with iron
let's
arm.
have a quick recap on
Oh
what
no.
our favorite librarian does. What does
Yeah.
Ezekiel do? Come on, Ezekiel. It's time to come back.
Yeah. Before we
It's
get
time
too
to come back.
crazy.
Come here, Zeke. He's 75 points. Right? He has engulfing fear, so he can trigger battle shock tests. Just you take a battle shock check.
Always fun.
Yep. Everyone has in the unit has a 4-up film of pain against psychic because he has a psychic hood. So his weapon, the Trader's Bane, is strength 6, -2, D3 damage, anti chaos 2+.
Come here,
And
Chaos Knights.
yeah, he has his range attacks. So his mind wipe. So the focus witchfire version of mind wipe is what I want to talk about here. It's 12-inch range, 2-up to hit, strength 6, AP 2, D6 damage, devastating wounds, anti-character 4-up, precision.
Yep. That's a lot. That's a lot
Hold
of
on a
fun
second.
stuff.
Who can he lead? He can lead Sternguard, which means that he gets a reroll to wound targeting the oath target.
Oh, that is
With his
that is a
focus,
little spicy.
with his squishing your head attack.
Yeah, I like that.
Anyway, and also his warrior abilities. The Book of Salvation gives +1 to the attacks and melee weapons equipped by models in the unit that he's leading. So there's there's stuff here, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah, and he has a 2 damage pistol called Deliverer. Yeah,
Because why not?
if he gets within 6 inches or 12 inches of your own characters, he is going to blow their head off.
That's how we like it.
Cool. So, all right, yeah, let's just let that roll around for a little bit, right? Percolate. Let's go ahead and look, we turned a emergency thing into an hour, so I'm fine with that. But
Yep.
Anyway, yeah, let's have a happy holidays and probably wrap this up.
We will see you after Hawaii for real this time instead of emergency meetings. So, and
Yep.
thank you for listening to this super bonus Dataslate and Librarian Detachment episode of the Path to Redemption, the Warhammer 40,000 Dark Angels podcast. Our next episode this time will actually come in January after Heath and I are reunited once again, clanking coconuts filled with tasty libations while rolling dice in our Hawaiian shirts and shorts instead of me being in Indiana and freezing to death in the winter. So please subscribe, like, and comment below if you're interested in hearing about any of these wonderful adventures in January. If you're watching us on YouTube or listening to us on your preferred podcasting service, either way, you'll find a way to get a hold of us, and we will let you know. And last but not least, we would like to thank Purple Planet for the use of their music. And until next time, I'm Bailey from Dank Wargaming.
This is Heath with Team Temple, Hawaii.
Stay loyal, Angels.